guys, welcome back to StabilityWOD. I'm resting here tonight in the hammock after a big day of activity, visiting family in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and for the first time I ran up the La Luz Trail, the race course that goes up to the top of the gondola, top of Sandia Peak, like 10,500 or so feet. Incredible trail, magical, just beautiful terrain. It's like 4,000 feet of elevation gain, so you run through a huge variety of different landscapes. And I thought about a lot of things during the run, as I and a lot of you often do when we're moving through space on adventures like that. But I thought particularly at different times, especially when the terrain was steep, about my glutes, my glute maximus, and just how much those muscles work when you're running uphill. I don't think there's anything that's better to get your glutes activated than running uphill. It's just phenomenal. It's so effective, and they just don't have a choice at that point. They have no choice but to come back online and fire up. And the few thoughts that I had, one was that the glutes are an interesting muscle group because they're sort of, I describe them as inherently lazy. We have a lot of redundancy in our body, and it's very easy for the calves and the hamstrings and other muscle groups to make it easy on the glutes, so they don't have to work too much. The other thing about the glutes is that we sit on them a lot, and so they're very prone to inhibition. They're very prone to going offline. We crush them, we squash them. They're depleted of blood flow, and so when we get up out of our chair to go do something active, they're not real happy about that initially. So we default to other muscle groups. And the third thing about the glutes is that once you develop a pattern of them not being a primary part of your activity, they stay offline, and it becomes very hard to get them back online again. And I work with a lot of clients where we spend time really getting creative and trying really hard to figure out how to get their glutes to fire again, especially in the face of them spending a lot of time sitting, commuting to work, or sitting at their jobs. I find the glutes particularly challenging, but uphill running, as I said, is just phenomenal. Now, there are three things I recommend with regard to the glutes to help people get them back online again. The first solution to some of these problems is to minimize how much you sit. There's a stat that for every hour that you sit, it takes an hour for your glutes to come back online. And if you do the math, you start to realize that for a lot of us, our glutes are not back online at all, and we go through our day without them, mostly defaulting to other muscle groups, as I said. The second thing about the glutes that I think is really important is that we take the time to be very intentional about using them, especially day to day with things like walking, doing stairs, and squatting, other activities where the glutes should be working, but maybe they're not really intense enough that the glutes need to be working. And in those moments, you have to be really intentional about bringing them back online. Even for some CrossFit athletes that have been sitting all day, they show up to a workout where they're squatting. It takes a lot of focus, a lot of intention sometimes to get those muscles firing again. The third thing I like to encourage people to do is to pick activities where the glutes have no choice but to come back online. It doesn't mean you have to run up the La Luz Trail and spend an hour and a half running uphill. As beautiful as it is and as incredible a journey as it is, that's not necessary. But things like squatting, jumping, running uphill even for short distances, cycling uphill, sprinting, if you can combine those movements where your glutes really don't have a choice but to move with the intention of bringing those muscles back online, it's a very powerful stimulus, even if you sit a lot, to get those muscles open back up and firing again. And while I don't spend a lot of time in these videos talking about mobility is a critical adjunct to doing things that stimulate glute firing, to get the muscle unglued from itself, to get blood flowing back in there, to reduce the adhesions that form from the muscle being compressed all day. This is a great opportunity to stress how much the mobility and the stability are important. I'm going to go back to my relaxation. Thank you all for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.